Welcome back to another episode of Why I Love BNI, your podcast spotlighting different BNI members and different businesses on what they love about having their business a part of the BNI family. So today I'm super excited to have my guest Roger with us today. Roger, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, of course. Well, Roger and I connected through another BNI member who was on the podcast not too long ago. And then when Roger and I connected over the phone a few weeks ago, he shared just an incredible story about his business and then, of course, his passion and what his goals are when it comes to his business. And I was like, well, I'm so excited to share this with my viewers. So thank you again for taking the time. So why don't you just kind of kick us off and tell us a little bit about first what you do and how you help people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run a merchant services company, and we help people, business owners, streamline their payments and eliminate their credit card fees. And then we have a charitable aspect to it as well. We actually donate 25% of all of the profits that we make back to a nonprofit of that business owner's choice. We started doing this as independent agents in uh, April of last year. And then December of this year, so just recently, we ended up taking over and purchasing the entire organization. So we've got several agents in several states, and business is good. It's really fun to be able to help people and really make a difference in their bottom line, and seeing that light bulb go on in their face in their eyes when we show with them just how much money we can actually save them and put back into their bottom line.
Wow, that's amazing. I'd love to hear from someone who went from being an independent agent to now you're managing some agents. How has that transition been like for you?
Um, there's a learning curve, for sure. This isn't our first business that we've owned and operated. We've done several before, but to kind of get the biggest challenge was the previous ownership had they had a bunch of things going on. They're also business owners. They had a lot of things going on, and so this business wasn't getting the attention that it needed, and the agents weren't getting the
Mm.
attention that they needed. So we did have kind of a ramping down of productivity that we've had to kind of restart and get that back up again. So it's different because we have our own book of business and we manage our own personal volume, but we're also responsible to help other team members, be able to create volume and create their income as well. So it's a challenge, but it's fun. We have a lot of fun doing it. We have a lot of we just try to move forward a little bit every day.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the things? Because I'm sure it's a little bit different because you were an independent agent. So I'm sure you knew how it felt having, the proper management and proper care you needed. And now you kind of have to do that for a whole lot of people that maybe you don't even know that well. I don't know how close you are like regionally to some of these agents. But has there been any like fun ideas you either have executed so far to kind of ramp that up or you're looking to start executing with them?
Yeah, I think it's just really one-on-one time that
Okay.
they weren't getting, and making ourselves
Mm.
available, just really being there for them. The fact that we were in their shoes, we do understand the challenges that are there. And it's a pretty complicated industry. There's a lot of different moving parts, and who does what, and there's a big learning curve, and we're in the process of still learning that curve, trying to figure out like, oh, how do we how do we how do we take the cookies and put them on the lower shelf, to like help make this simple for
Sure.
people to understand, because there are just a lot of moving parts. And even in our BNI group, until I have one-to-ones with people are still like, I don't understand what you do.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear. Oh, I wanted to ask because you shared a little bit that, 25% you guys donate back to the business with for a nonprofit of their choice. I think you touched on it just briefly, but I'd love to hear the story behind that because not this is not like in case anyone's curious, this is not really something that like every credit card processing person would do. So how did that come about and what have you really learned from being a part of that?
Yeah, so the our mentor in this, the agency that we're attached to, this was their business model.
Hmm.
And I discovered them. We met them at the end of 2023, and they're a Christian run business, and they, like, when we heard what they were doing, we're like, wait, how? Tell us more about that. And we just got to know the owners of the company, and thought, what a fantastic model, to be able to give back. And it's really great because it allows our clients, no matter where they're at, if they're in Washington State, or if they're in Michigan, or if they're in Virginia, it allows them to give back to their community or an organization that they're passionate about, by reaching into my pocket instead of theirs.
Yeah. And if you if I remember correctly, you guys have a title for it, is right?
Oh, for a company? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
actually called Compassion. Yeah, Compassion Processing.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure I was
Yeah.
understanding correctly, because I remember when you told me over the phone, I'm like, this is beautiful. I think it's you can definitely tell um the maybe soul or spirit or whatever the proper word for that is of a person you're working with based off some of those values, right? And the fact that you guys are so willing to put something forward coming out of your pocket to help support someone's nonprofit of their choice, right? It's not you, it's not your quote unquote agenda that you're pushing, or like, you guys have to support this charity I love. It's, hey, how can I make sure that you feel that I just want to give and I want to provide value to your family and to other people that you care about. So I think that's really amazing, and I had never heard of that before. So I appreciate you educating me a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. Well, switching gears just a little bit, and you were sharing with me that you're really new to BNI. I'd love to hear, how'd you get involved with BNI?
Yeah, so that great question. I joined in October, and I'd been aware of BNI for a long time. But strangely enough, I've never been invited to a meeting. Like, I have a really close friend up in Washington that was in leadership in BNI for years, and I knew what it was. I knew, it was a networking thing, and you had to pay, and there was one seat for every, there weren't two realtors in the group. We got kind of exclusivity in the group, but I never got invited to a meeting. And so the first time that I got invited was through, from Rebecca, who was just previously on your show not too long ago. Um, we connected with her through somebody at church, and she invited us to come, and we're like, hey, this is this is really cool, just how it's all structured, and how, everything's tracked, and, referrals, and thank you for closed business, and just really getting to know the people in your chapter, through those one-to-ones, to be able to know, like, and trust, and provide value for those other people that are in your group. It was just really, really inviting to us,
Hmm.
and it made perfect sense for us. So we joined right away.
Yeah, I think it's really funny that you're sharing that you've never really been invited to BNI before, maybe Rebecca, despite the fact that you knew so many people a part of BNI. I just heard a story last night, and he was like, I was one of those people, like, BNI wouldn't, like, the people at BNI wouldn't stop harassing me to join. And they wanted me to join so bad, and I kept getting phone calls and stuff. So it really goes to show that there's like two sides to everything. There's always this assumption like, oh, they're being bothered by someone else. We should never talk to them. But you never know. I just always ask, hey, if you're interested in networking, come to BNI. If you're not, you're not. It's fine. I've gotten answers both ways, like, oh, I want to join BNI so bad. And other people like, that's not my style. You never know
Yeah.
until you ask, right?
Yeah.
So since joining, you said in October of 2024, right?
Yeah, yeah. So just
How
a few months.
that's crazy. How have you seen BNI impact your business, or how have you seen it helping you already?
Um, I think one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of it, that wasn't expected, because you get in, you're like,
Sure.
okay, I'm gonna get referrals, and, I'm gonna get better at networking. I've gotten really better at just communicating, like, my elevator pitch, just communicating in a very
Mm,
short period of time what I do, and in a way that asks, that begs for more questions, and begs for for
right.
for, for more information. And,
Definitely.
you get really good at that every week. You're standing up, and depending on your chapter, you get 30 seconds or 60 seconds, or, whatever you get. Even if you're a visitor and you get maybe only 15 seconds in some of these big chapters, You just got to really, really kind of hone in. And for some people, I feel like maybe it's kind of like, okay, here I go, I'm doing this again. But those repetitions are really, really valuable um, to um, uh, to help you communicate what it is that you do, and in a way that reminds other people like what it is that you do, so that they're able to hear and listen for those opportunities for referrals.
Yeah, and I think being specific is a big one that I'm sure that you've learned as well when it comes to your elevator pitch because we want to help everyone. We want to be broad. We want to say anyone who wants help, come to us. But then you're like, but that's not helping me, is it? It's not going to help my sales team. So let me not only make sure that they really understand what I do into the bare bones of it, but also what's the best way for them to help me this week. And I think those go hand in hand when it comes to your elevator pitches of all right, I am allowed to be specific. It's okay. And I'm not gonna ice someone out because I'm being specific. Like this is the person I want to talk to this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep,
That's
fantastic.
that's great. Do you have I mean, I know B and I when people first start, it's really intimidating, right? They're like, there's such a big learning curve, there's so many acronyms and there's so many systems for tracking this or that. I'd love to hear either your thoughts on how you navigated it and how you'd maybe give tips for other new members on how they can start navigating that.
Wow. So there so I don't know, it's almost like a negative thing, but like the difference between like the app, the BNI app, and then the
Right,
website.
right.
There's things that you can do in one you can't do in the other and stuff,
Mm,
but you just have to constantly, be in there, and
mm-hmm.
and looking and understanding how things go. And I think that like the biggest thing for me, like for new people, that I was told really early on by my mentor, is don't get hung up on the referrals.
Mm,
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, they'll come, they're going to come naturally. You're going to be able to give them more naturally, because when I was, they would pass around the bucket, and I'm like, I don't have any referrals, and I would kind of feel like, oh, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But it's okay, because they're going to come, as long as you are just doing the work. It's like, I always want to tell people, like, focus on the work and not the result. Like, yeah,
right,
I would love to lose 40 pounds this year. Well, that's a great goal, but why not focus on the work? Like, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to go to the gym, like that. So as long as you're doing the one-to-ones, and you're doing your CEUs, and you're going to roundtable events, and you're doing those things, you are just going to the results are going to follow, because you're just putting in the work.
exactly. I love that so much because when I first joined BNI, I've been in it for exactly a month now, a year, a year now. And when I joined, I had the same exact thought. I was so paranoid. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so young. They're gonna think I'm crazy, and like, um, I'm not gonna really be able to give anyone referrals, and they're gonna be like, oh, there's just this young person taking up this spot in our BNI chapter. But fast forward a year later, I mean probably since October, since the fiscal year started, I just checked my stats. I've given 60 referrals.
Wow.
And a lot of that was in November. So you just never know. And it's really like focusing on the one-to-ones, like you said. And because I did so many one-to-ones with so many people, I was able to connect people, with random people here and there. And I'm like, hey, I know this person. Do you want to know this person? They go, yeah, I do want to know that person. And that's how I've been able to, connect so many people. And I've had a lot of fun doing it. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, focusing on the activity that you're able to do for yourself and not worry about the accolades and the results, though they
Yeah,
will follow.
for sure.
But Roger, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. This was really fun for me, and I think I learned a lot about credit card processing that I might not have known before. So I appreciate you taking the time to educate me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great time. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, and to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well, and I'll see you next time.